Can you hear me? Here we go. Whoa, that might be too loud. Sorry, guys. I'm using a table mic today because I got a bit of a sinus headache and don't want to feel like my head being in a vice. Because as good as my headphones are, after a while they do kind of put a little bit of pressure on the sinuses, ears, nose, and throat. Is all connected, kind of thing. Anyway, so I just completed the epilogue quest for Override, and see, as prophesized. And there's been a lot of people talking about it. Spoilers, obviously. So the general opinion is that there's two opinions on Osiris. Either one, it's the real Osiris, and he just went dick mode for some reason. The other idea is that it's actually been Savathun all this time in disguise. And this, of course, is being supported by guys like My Name is Bife and Evade, whom I've been following with their lore videos for the last couple of months. And there's actually really good content. You can go check them out. Evade and My Name is Bife, that's B-Y-F. And, but yeah, so, you know, there's been this running theory that it's actually Savathun in the body or disguise of Osiris, and it probably has been since the season of the Hunt. Which kind of makes some sense. No ghost, you know. Savathun could very easily emulate one of us, but would not probably be able to emulate the ghost. And Sagira, you know, would, you know, be difficult to, you know, I mean, what's she going to do? Grab a thrall and turn it into a ghost? I guess she could, but I don't think that's the case. So my idea, like with theirs, is that if it is Savathun, it's been Savathun since Season of the Hunt, and that the Osiris that we've been dealing with is just a really, really good impersonation. But the other idea that I have is that it's always been the real Osiris, that he may or may not have been influenced by Savathun, since we all seem to be under her spell to some degree. And I think, you know, Osiris got hold of the future war cult's prophecies. He probably earned the confidence of Lakshmi, so that she would share. And there's a lore tab, I can't remember what it is, but Evade and Bife both cover it, where Lakshmi details her 6 different prophecies or something like that she has with the machine that the future war cult uses. And in 2 of them, they talk about how Asher speaks. Now that, of course, is it's been confirmed, I guess, that the friendly harpy in the Override mission of this week is actually Asher, either merged with the Vex or him. I think he became a Vex mind personally. I think when you read the Asher conclusion tab, it describes him bringing the lake down upon himself. I think it's, you know, because he was already becoming a Vex, which is why his right arm looked like a Vexed goblin or hobgoblin's arm. I think that he was already becoming a Vex. He was already merging with the Vex network. And I think his obsession with learning about the Paramedium was a way to actually take it over and merge, you know, full on with the network, knowing that he was going to become a Vex anyway. And by voluntarily, you know, becoming a Vex mind for Io, wherever it went. And we don't know if the darkness actually took it. It could have been that Asher, you know, slipped it into a pocket dimension, which is kind of where the infinite force exists. I mean, you think about it on Mercury, which also disappeared for presumably by the darkness. But I do think it's interesting that 3 of the 4 planets that went away were heavily vexed planets. Mercury, of course, and then Mars had a lot of Vex on it, where we found the gateway to the Black Garden, and then of course Io, which is the gateway to the Paramedium, which a lot of people say was more or less a backdoor to Venus. And then of course, you know, that leaves Titan, which is predominantly Hive, you know, sitting out there. But, you know, again, you know, that's how Bungie's writing gets you invested. Gets you invested, is they leave a lot of open ends to things because they're reading the community, reading the room, you know, and they're going to go ahead and say whatever they want to say, whatever fits their narrative. So back to the Override mission, the epilogue. I think it was Osiris all along. I think it's never been Savathun. Maybe Savathun is working with Osiris, just the way, because it's being implied that Osiris was working with Lakshmi teaching her how to open up the Vex portal. And if he was aware of all of these prophecies, in 2 or 3 of them, the Future War Cult gets ousted. Either they're full-on, flat-out defeated, or they are found out to be traitors, or they surrender. Okay, so and I think something like that. In 2 or 3 of these outcomes, the Future War Cult is called out for who they are and what Lakshmi has become. And I think Osiris may have actually... I think the person who might have been taken over by Savathun in this storyline might have been Lakshmi. The Future War Cult has always been a little bit zealous, a little bit on the power grab side of things, and it's very much that kid in the classroom that's always about the "I told you so"s. And that kind of personality, if you go a little bit of research, because don't forget Bungie's a very well-educated, very well-read studio. If you go researching personalities that have a tendency to say "I told you so," they have certain markers that Lakshmi's character did present throughout the entirety of her arc, from Destiny 1 all the way up to now. And I think it's fantastic that they spun that narrative, whether it was always the roadmap or not. They put in enough there to build an architecture that they can attach things to, which is fantastic writing. That's how you write with an open-ended plot, while at the same time it all kind of looks like, aha, you really did do that. So sometimes you see it in advance, way off in advance, and there may never be payoffs for it. And other times, seeds that, are kind of retroactively applied for the payoff that's coming up. And the latter is more obvious than the former. But so anyway, my running theory is this. So Osiris was aware of Savathun's influence behind all of this, and that was revealed with Koria, the Vex mind that was taken. And he was aware of Lakshmi's prophecies, and he was sensing that Savathun was probably driving some of Lakshmi's ambitions. And one of the prophecies talks about how Lakshmi becomes the ruler of the city. Now, personal glory is something that every human mind falls prey to, and whether they're made out of machines or paracausal energy, we're all humans in this game. When we play human characters, the day that Bungie allows us to play Elixni or Cabal or Vex would just be like a total panty-wetting, mind-blowing moment for me. But at the present time, I'm happy to play a human. And so, human minds, human frailties, ambition, things like that, pride, ego, vanity, all that kind of fun stuff, which, the factions always seem to be presenting. I mean, that's kind of like their core motives, is serving their own egos kind of scenario, where the Vanguard may be part of the ego bend on this, but they're more interested in defense of the city, whereas the factions were more interested in the governance of the people. So, like I said, to tie it back around, so Lakshmi may or may not have been influenced by Savathun, but regardless of this fact, Osiris was aware of her prophecies because he talked with her. And he was aware that 2 out of 6 of them were, Future War Cult was shown to be the false prophets that they were. And tinkering with Vex mechanics is, dangers. So Osiris is like, well, rather than have Lakshmi get her, coup that she wanted, if I manipulate her and manipulate events around her, that would cause Future War Cult to fail, then I could, control a little bit of the future and give the city more hope to survive. So I think it was kind of like, he did the classic covert double agent kind of spy thing, where he pulled elements together based upon the predictions that she bragged about or confided with him. Because, I mean, in order for lore tabs to surface in our game, for us, the Guardians, to read, it had to been data that was collected and it was more or less public knowledge, or at least consensus knowledge. So these predictions, got into the hands of Osiris, and this is what I say over and over already now, so sorry. And I'm thinking that, he manipulated the predictions and the outcomes to best benefit the city as a whole. Because in two of the predictions, Asher speaks. And in those two predictions, I'm pretty sure the future war cult is outed for their ambitions. And in one, they are forced to retreat. In the other one, they are completely destroyed. And I have an idea that Osiris found Asher and brought him to the Vex network, where Quria was trying to overtake the city through. And when the Vex, because of Asher's presence, we have the ability to defeat the future war cult's goal and save the city and build a permanent, strong bond between the Eliksni and the humans. And I think that was really important. Plus, it was also important for the city to see its military leadership be relevant and be powerful in the presence of a recognizable threat. I wouldn't say that Osiris orchestrated a false flag event, but more like he manipulated an eventuality to the best possible outcome. So it's like saying, okay, I'm a skateboarder. All right, this has been known. One of the first things that I discovered as a skateboarder is that try as you might, you're going to bail. You're going to crash. So how do you mitigate the damage? If you stiffen up and try to stop the crash, you end up basically beefing out your body. Beefing out your kneecaps, road rashing basically, or whatever. And the first couple of times I did. My natural reaction is to put hands out, and fall to your hands. And I fucking regretted that shit for 3 weeks. My left arm and shoulder was like completely jacked up. My right wrist was so sprained that I could barely hold a pencil for school. And I was lucky I didn't break a bone. Knock on wood. I did break bones in my past, but that event, it was good to have not broken bones. And I do still plan to skateboard, which is why I knocked on wood. But anyway, I'm much older, so now if I fall, it's going to be bad. I know it is. But one of the things that I learned, and then eventually when I helped other people learn to be skateboarding, to do skateboarding. Play. In any case, is the eventuality is you're going to crash. Whether the board picked up a wobble or you hit that rock and you're already in the air. So the moment that half a second or so that you have before you impact, how are you going to mitigate that? What body part are you going to put down first to make sure that the rest of the body can survive? And this is why knee pads were a big thing for street skaters and ramp skaters even. And that's what I practiced on doing. I learned to go to my knee. Yeah, it would sometimes shred my shoes. It would sometimes wreck my shins, depending on how I skidded out. But learning how to take a knee, so to speak, was a lot of what kept me in one piece throughout my entire time skateboarding. And developing that idea, I think that's kind of what Osiris was looking at. He was looking at an eventuality. The Vex are going to come through. They're going to invade the city. They're going to attack the Fallen. They're going to attack the Eliksni. They're going to attack the humans. Future War Cult's going to be the cause of it. There's no way he could have stopped that without becoming a complete villain. Right now, he's just suspected. He's implicated in helping Lakshmi open the portal. But it's going to come out that he was going to be like, look, she was going to open the portal on her own no matter what. By me manipulating her and showing her the right way to do it, I set into motion the events where the Vanguard could come in and actually have a fighting chance. Otherwise, you guys would have all been fucked. She would have done it without anybody's knowledge. She would have done it without any real idea of what she was doing. And Quria would have had that leverage to just get too strong of a foothold in the city, and it would have fallen. The city would have fell. But by showing her how to do the portal, he may have shown her the codes or the patterns to basically bring about this event. So I don't think Osiris is necessary. If it is in fact, which I believe it is, the actual Osiris, and Sagira the Ghost is dead and gone, then I believe that this is his plan all along, and he realized that he needed to be away from the scenario for a while because it's better to be the Dark Knight, the villain, the Cat. Go look it up. What is the Cat? for this moment. It gives give the people of the city and the Vanguard a chance to focus on recuperating and rebuilding. And when I say the people of the city, I'm including the Elixni, because I think that's great. I think it's great that the House of Light is now an integral part of the city, and I hope that there's more story before them. The other idea is that if Osiris was Savathun, her setting up the invasion of the city, and then of course helping us defeat that invasion, kind of gives her a little bit of leverage for the possible future story that we're getting, where she comes to us to say, hey, you know what, I'll help you fight the Hive and the Taken if you get the worm out of me. I don't want to be bound to this demon god anymore. So if Osiris is in fact Savathun in disguise, which makes sense, it does, it makes a lot of sense, then all of this is the long con to get us to basically accept her help and possibly, avoid the future that the Stranger lives through on a regular basis. Where the Witch Queen gives Eris Morn the power to take over the solar system, and the Traveler Didi Mouse, because he's I don't think the Traveler is sentient. I really don't. I don't think the Traveler is sentient. I think he's just a highly advanced, or it's a highly advanced programmed machine that's designed to do a certain thing. Excuse me. I parched out and I didn't bring a drink. Anyway, but that's another theory I have for some other time. And in the meantime, thanks for stopping by.